श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम्। क्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभः निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देवसर्वकार्ये सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विशेषगुरोगिणां सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नमो धर्माय महते नमः कृष्णाय वेदसे ब्राह्मणेभ्यो नमस्कृत्य धर्मान् वक्ष्यामि शाश्वताम्। नमो भगवते तस्मै व्यासाय मुददेशसे यस्य प्रसादात् वक्ष्यामि नारायणकथामिमाम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्. Previously, we were looking at the end of day 13 after Abhimanyu's death. Yudhishthira was grieving. At that time, Vyasa comes and he explains what Mrityu is, the Devata related death. So, who she is and how her birth and her penances and strengths and things like that. And then, while explaining, Abhimanyu attained that heaven which is attained by the Raja-rishis, the rishi type, the kings who lived, emperors who lived like rishis, who achieved greatness like rishis would have achieved through penance. So those rishis we were looking at. So Vyasa narrates the story of Maruta, a story of Narada and Parvata going to Srinjaya's house and Narada marrying Srinjaya's daughter, and then Srinjaya getting a son and that son getting killed, and he was becoming grieving for that. And at that time, Narada narrates all these emperors, kings who ruled the earth and attained that great state, highest state. So here Narada was narrating Maruta, Suhotra, Parvata, Shibi, Rama, that is Dasharati Rama, Bhagirata, Dilipa, Mandatri, Yayati, Ambarisha, Sheshabindu. We looked at all of them and we were looking at Gaya as well. So Gaya, son of Amartya, he fell into death as well, and he gratified Agni, and Agni gave him the boon, and through that boon he was ruling the entire earth. And Gaya acquiring all the things he needed, he acquired the entire earth, and he performed for 100 years. He performed the sacrifices with great number of presents to Brahmanas, and also Chaturmasya Vrata he performed, and many other vratas and sacrifices he performed. Every year for a century, that King Gaya gave away to Brahmanas 160,000 cows, 10,000 horses, and 1 crore gold nishkas coins. So after completion of his sacrifices, and he also gave away at every nakshatra, he also gave away presents for those occasions, and like this he performed many sacrifices like Chandra and Angirasa would have performed. In his great sacrifice, Ashwamedha, he again making a golden earth, he gave away that to Brahmanas, and like this, everything in that sacrifice was prepared from gold. So all the articles used in the gold were made up of, all the articles in that sacrifice were made up of gold. So like this, everything was there, and he was pleasing the Brahmanas and divers. He again gave away so much food in that sacrifices. There were 25 hills of food remain untouched, and so much was food prepared, and everybody was asked to eat and drink and enjoy, but still so much was left in that sacrifice. And he and because of that, and in consequence of that great merit of that great sacrifice, Gaya came to be well known in the 3 worlds. And due to that sacrifice, eternal banyan tree, the Ashwat tree that there, and that's the sacred Brahmasara is also there. So Satya Gaya also had to meet his death. So Narada asked Srinjaya, why are you grieving for your son? Saying, Shvaitya, oh Shvaitya, why are you grieving when your son has not achieved anything? He has not done any sacrifices, has not given away anything in the sacrifice. Why are you grieving for him? Then Narada explains about Rantideva. He says that Rantideva also fell to prey of death, and that king had 200,000 cooks distributing great food, raw and cooked food like Amrita to Brahmanas day and night every day. And that king also gave away to Brahmanas his wealth acquired through righteous means. He, having studied the Vedas, he controlled his enemies in a fair fight and always performing rigid vows and always engaged in performing the sacrifices. He sacrificed countless number of animals in those sacrifices. Again, here Narada narrates that those animals used to, with the desire of going to heaven, they used to come to that sacrificial hall on their own accord. Nobody was to pull them and tie them into the sacrificial post and then sacrifice them. They used to come like that. So we looked at, if you remember, go back to Vanaparva, where Markandeya was narrating in the Markandeya Samasya Parva, where there was a Vada Fowler's story Markandeya was narrating, right? So when once the background is Markandeya was narrating to Yudhishthira, when one's duty itself is cruel, involves uh, injuring somebody, like Kshatriya's duty, for example, or uh, how one should perform the duty. When he was explaining, Rishi Markandeya was explaining a Fowler's story and how even though his day job is to kill animals and sell the meat, he was still performing his dharma. He was still sticking to the dharma. So how he was doing, and at that time Rantideva's story also came about, and this sacrifice of the large number of animals in his sacrifice was noted, including horses and cows. So again, in those days, animal sacrifice was allowed, and again, animal sacrifice. We'll look at this again later in Mahabharata, where in Shanti Parva, Bhishma explains in detail the merits and demerits and what's allowed and not allowed and all those kind of things. We'll look at this in detail. But in short, animal sacrifices were allowed. We looked at previously as well when Panda was in forest. And for example, they used to kill, hunt, and feed the Brahmanas through those things. So once the animal is offered to the deities, offered to devatas or pitrus, it is considered clean. It can be eaten in those days. But again, there are restrictions in Kali Yuga where these animal sacrifices are not allowed. So that's why eating meat is not allowed in Kali Yuga. So just to reiterate, those days it was allowed, but again, clean animals, the meat that is called clean, it becomes clean or purified only by offering that to devatas or pitrus and things like that, then only it becomes pure. Such a meat would have been taken, okay, not just any other kill. So it's like, and killing also, there was certain procedure. You cannot kill with poison and things like that. So there were certain rules and things, but it was allowed in Kali Yuga because such a sacrifice of animals to devatas or pitrus is not allowed. You cannot have a meat, a pure meat, a clean meat. You cannot have. If you are having meat, if one eats meat, that's considered as unclean because you're not offering that to the devatas first. And in Kali Yuga, you can't offer that. That's the meaning. So Rantideva again, he offered large number of thousands of animals in those sacrifices, which we see in Vanaparva, and also this mentioned in various Puranas as well. So the skin that deposited from these animal sacrifices started creating a real river, and that river became known as Charmanvati. So Charma is the skin. So that river, it started a river, and that river is became known as a Charmanvati. So that king again, Rantideva, gave away Nishkas, golden Nishkas coins, saying that I give you Nishkas, I give you Nishkas, and everybody he used to give, and I give you, always used to say that thousands of Nishkas he used to give. And again, with soft words to the Brahmanas, he gave away those golden coins. Having again given away in the course of a single day 1 crore such coins, king thought that he has not given away much. So even though he gave away so much, he thought he did not give away much. He gave away very little and he should give more. He should do more. So think about this. When somebody is donating something, yes, he is a king and he has the wealth and things, but still, when you feel that you have not done enough, that's the point when that charity becomes even more meritorious. So he thinks that he has not done. So he's not proudly saying that I gave away 1 crore such coins in one day. He's saying that I did very little today. I have to do more tomorrow. So this Rantideva gave away wealth, thinking that if I don't give Brahmanas these wealth, then there will be a great grief that's going to come to me. So that's why, like this, for 100 years, every fortnight, he gave away Brahmanas a golden bull with a century of cows and 800 pieces of coins, golden coins, and things like that. And all the articles that needed for Agnihotra and the sacrifices performed by the rishis and brahmanas he gave away, including the water pots and plates and beds and carpets, vehicles, mansions, houses, whatever it is they needed. He gave away all those things, including utensils, articles, everything made up of gold. He gave away all that. Then again, people who are uh, familiar with the ancient history, they used to say that they used to sing that we have not seen such an accumulated treasure, even in the adobe of Kubera. What need to be therefore said of the human beings? Nobody had such a treasure as Rantideva had, and he used to give so much to the Brahmanas. And without that, Rantideva, and people used to say that everything in Rantideva's kingdom is made up of gold, and there is no doubt about this. So and like that, people used to sing about him and Rantideva as well in those sacrifices. He used to cook so much food, and that cook used to cry out saying that eat as much as soup you like, meat as you like, and there is not much today as in other days. So eat today as much as you want, and still there is so much food left out, remnant that's left out in those sacrifices. So like this, such a Rantideva performed those sacrifices and gave away gratified Brahmanas uh, in those sacrifices and shraddhas he performed for the Pitrus. So even that Rantideva had to die. What compared to him, you are nothing, and your son is absolutely nowhere near him. O Shvaitya, O Srinjaya, why are you crying for your son, saying, O Shvaitya, O Shvaitya, when your son has not done any sacrifice and not given away anything in the sacrifices, why are you crying for them? Narada then continues and explains the story of Bharata, Dushyanta's son, Dushyanta and Shakuntala's son, again Bharata story we looked at in Adi Parva. So how he was born from Dushyanta and Shakuntala, we looked at that with Kanva Maharshi's ashrama. Shakuntala was raised, and we looked at all that. So that Bharata also fell prey for death. While when he was very young and a child in that forest, he used to achieve great things, and with great strength, he used to speedily go and control the lions, who were white lions with great teeth and claws. He used to control them with his strength. He used to drag them, bound them for his enjoyment. So he bind them and like a dog, he used to tie them, those tigers and lions in the forest. So he used to do that, and elephants and wild animals he used to bring with elephants with their tusk. He used to drag them and then control them, wild buffaloes and all those animals in that while he was a child itself. In consequence of that, he became known as Sarvadamana. He is such a strength and he had such a control over everything. He became known as that. And that when he returned and he became a king, he performed 100 Ashwamedas on the bank of Yamuna and 300 such sacrifices on the bank of Saraswati and 400 on the bank of Ganga. And he performed these sacrifices once more, performed 1,000 Ashwamedas and 100 Rajasuyas, great sacrifices he performed, and gave away large quantities of gifts to Brahmanas. And other sacrifices again he performed Agnistoma, Atirata, Ukta, Vishwajit. He performed with thousands and thousands of Vajapayas and without any trouble in them. So such he performed. Again, One of the sacrifices you mentioned is Vishwajit. Vishwajit is a sacrifice where one is performs, he has to give away everything he wants to Brahmanas. At the end of that, even the utensils used in that sacrifice he gives away, and he did that person, the person who is performing those sacrifices will not even have a plate to eat the food at the end of that sacrifice. Okay, forget about having the food itself. He will not have anything. Okay, there is a story of Raghu in Raghuvamsha, Sri Rama's ancestor, Raghu performing that Vishwajit, and then him giving away everything. And at that time, a Brahmana Vatu comes to him and asks for 1 crore coins, golden coins, to give as a Guru Dakshina. Uh, because that Brahmana was asking his Guru, what should I give you? What shall I give you? And the Guru said, no, I don't want anything. I don't want it. You learned very well. So go now. But that Brahmana kept asking, what shall I give? What shall I? Guru became angry and says that, give me 1,000 coins. Sorry, 1 crore coins. So without any option, he comes to Raghu. But at that time, because he performed Vishwajit, Raghu did not have anything. And so he sent a message to Kubera saying that I need 1,000 coins, 1 crore coins to give to this Brahmana. And he did not ask more because he's sending a message. If it was these days, he would have said, yeah, Brahmana asking for one crore. I gave away everything. So let me ask 5 crores. So I will have 4 left for me. Right? Raghu did not ask. He just asked what's needed for that Brahmana. And Kubera did not give anything. And then Raghu became angry. So he became angry and he prepared his army. And on that evening, he ordered everything preparation, and then he performed all the weapons worship and everything. And then, seeing this, Kubera became worried, and he started pouring coins in his palace. So much coins came through, and he did not have more than 1 crore coins dropped in his palace. So Raghu wanted only 1 crore coins, but there is so much more came. He told this Brahmana that all this came because of you, so you take all this. And that Brahmana as well, he is very honest. He said, my Guru asked only 1 crore, I can't take any more. So like this, there is a Guru saying that I don't want this more than what it is because all this came because of you. You take it, and Brahmana saying I can't take it because I asked only 1 crore. So there is again the giver and what one should have and things like that. That's a beautiful story as well. So that worship of the weapons and things like that Raghu did, and him preparing for that battle with Kubera, and then next day, him celebrating that victory is normally celebrated in Navratri time. On the Navami, we do Ayudha Puja, worship of the weapons, and then on next day we do Vijayadashmi, celebration of that victory. So that's the background. Anyway, so that's the Vishwajit here. Bharata performed like that, and Bharata also gave 10,000 billions of coins made of pure gold unto Kanva, who brought up his mother Shakuntala during as his own daughter, and Devatas with Indra, all of them with Brahmanas coming to his sacrifice. They used to enjoy those sacrifices, and in those sacrifices again, the stake itself was made of gold and measuring width of 100 vamas is again the full arm stretched length. So Satya Bharata ruled the entire kingdom, gratifying the Brahmanas and giving away a large number of elephants, horses, cows, camels, goats, sheep, and things like that to Brahmanas. In numbering crores and crores of that he gave away, and he has to die at the end. When the time came, he also has to die. He is superior to you, Srinjaya, and he is much superior to your son. Why are you crying for a son who has not performed any sacrifice or not given away anything? Why are you crying for him, saying that Vaishvaitya, Vaishvaitya? So Narada says that, and then he continues the story of King Prithu. So he was Vena's son, and he also had to die. In the Rajasuya sacrifice, he performed uh, great rishis, installed him as the emperor of the world. And he defeated everybody, and his achievements became known all over the world. And that's why he became known as Prithu. That means he ruled the entire Prithvi, and he became known as Prithu. And again, he protected all his people, and seeing his all subjects used to say, "We are highly pleased with him." All his people used to say that, and that's why he became known as the Raja. Uh, Raja is again the one who enjoys the people's affection and with whom they are delighted. And again, during time of Prithu, the earth, without being cultivated, yielded crops sufficiently. All the cows again yielded milk. Every lotus was full of honey. The kusha blades were all made of gold and things like that. And all the subjects of Prithu were made clothes of these blades, golden blades, and beds, and everything was like that. And the water, everything, fruits, everything tasted like amrita in that time. So everything was so good. The people were health and hail, and they all wishes were crowned, and people were living happily. So with joy and as much as they desired, they used to live. And when that Prithu went to sea, the waves used to stop and used to become solid, so he can walk on it. He can cross over it. When he used to across the mountains used to give him the path. And when he used to walk, his chariot's standard never broke. His once upon a time again with all the trees of the forest, mountains, devatas, the nagas, rishis, apsaras, pitrus, all came to Prithu, and they all said that you are our emperor, you are our king, you are our protector, you are our father, you are our lord, and they hailed him and they praised him like that. And that therefore give us the boon. So though again make sure that we should always obtain forever gratification and joy. So for them, Prithu said that so be it, and then taking his bow called Ajagava, which is the Shiva's bow Pinaka. So taking that, placing terrible arrows on it, he reflected for a minute. And at that time, Prithvi herself came and said, uh, do not shoot. But again, there is a story of Prithu plowing the earth uh, for all these things, and then everything, uh, flattening the earth and making sure that everybody can cultivate and grow all these things and things like that. And that's why also he's known as Prithu. So uh, uh, Prithvi said that, milk me. So come quickly and yield to this milk, so that all the people they can milk and take whatever they want. So Prithu said fine to that, and then started milking. So milking Prithvi, that means from earth he got all those things. Okay, so it is not literally milking Prithvi. So it is from Prithvi he gained all those things. So in that he first of all, tall trees and forest came from that Prithvi, and then there is Prithvi stood there like a calf, a milker, vessel, all those things came through. Then Sala became the calf, banyan tree became the milker, the thorns, buds became the milk itself, and the auspicious fig tree became the vessel. Then the mountains started milking her. The eastern hills, where sun rises, became the calf. The mountains themselves, Prince Meru became the milker. The diverse gems and herbs, and that all came out of that, became the milk. That means that's the product of those mountains. And the stones became the vessels that holding all that uh, gems and everything in those mountains. Then the devatas started milking, and then again they got energy and strength from that. And asuras milked Prithvi, and again in that, Dimardhan became the milker, Virochana became the calf, and things like that. And then human milked Prithvi for cultivation and crops, and then Manu at that time became their calf. Prithu himself became the milker. Next, the Nagas became milked Prithvi. They got poison as their milk and used the vessel made of God. And then Dhritarashtra became their milker, and Takshaka became the calf, and things like that. So then the seven rishis milked, getting Vedas in their milk. Brahaspati became the one who milked that milker. Chandas became the vessel, and Soma became the calf. So again, as I said earlier, this is not literally milking. This is what they got from Prithvi. Okay, rishis got the Vedas. When Brahaspati requested, Chandas was the one that's holding all those Vedas, and Soma is the one who is giving all that. So then again, Yakshas uh, got power of disobedience in their milk, and then Kubera became their milker, and Vrishadvaja became the calf. Gandharvas and Apsaras milked fragrant perfumes made of lotus leaves. Chitrada became their calf, and then Vishuruchi became the milker. Pitrus milked with Swaha as their milk in their vessel of silver, uh, and then Yama became the calf, and then the Antaka became the milker. And even like that, Prithvi was milked by everybody, and everybody got what they desired. And that powerful Prithvi, performing various sacrifices, he gave away Brahmanas everything, and then he performed the Ashwamedha sacrifice as well. He caused golden images to be made of the article of on the earth, and then gave that to Brahmanas in the Ashwamedha sacrifice. And he caused 66,000 elephants to be made of gold and gave away all that to the Brahmanas. And this whole earth king, with jewels and gems, everything he gave away all that to Brahmanas. And such a Prithvi who has performed so much sacrifices and who's ruled the kingdom, and such a superior, he is superior to you, and you are much superior to your son. He had to die. Why are you crying, saying Shvetya, Shvetya? For a son who has not performed any sacrifices or not given away anything. Then Narada continues and he says that there is a great Rishi, Rama, and he also will die. Okay, so this is a slight difference here. All the others up to now, Narada said has died, already died, but he says that here Rama, Parashurama, will also die, Jamadagni's son. Without again being contented with period of life, he will also die. Again, rooting to removing all the evils from the earth, and he made the Yuga start again. So Satyuga start again, destroying everything, and then having again obtained unrivaled prosperity with no fault one could see in him. His father again was killed. Jamadagni was killed by Kartavirya, and so stolen away the cows, and so Rama killed Kartavirya, was never before defeated by anybody, and that with his bow he killed 64 times 10,000 Kshatriyas already within the jaws of, he killed all of them, and then 14,000 Brahmana hating Kshatriyas of the Dantakura country, all of them he killed, and then of Hayas he killed 1,000 with his club, and 1,000 with his sword, and 1,000 by hanging them. Like this, he all those chariots, horses, elephants, everything was destroyed by Parashurama. And that Rama again, he killed 10,000 Kshatriyas with his axe. He could not quietly bear the furious speeches uttered by those of his enemies. And when those Brahmanas again uttered explanations and things like that, he again proceeded against, when Brahmanas were in trouble, again he proceeded against those Kashmiras, Daradas, Kuntis, Kshudrakas, Malavas, Angas, Vangas, Kalingas, Videhas, Tamra, Liptagas, Rakshovahas, Vitaharas, Trigartas, all these countries, thousands and thousands of Kshatriyas, he killed crores of thousands Kshatriyas. And through that, he created a lake of bloods, 5 lakes of blood we looked at as the very first in Adiparva, if you remember, Samanta Panchaka, right? Those lakes are called near Kurukshetra. So he created them, and this entire earth he got under his control and then performed hundreds of sacrifices. And those sacrifices again, everything was made of gold and he gems and jewels. So he gave away at the end of that. Kashyapa accepted from Parashurama entire wealth, he has entire earth from Parashurama he accepted as a gift, dana. So Parashurama gave away everything to Kashyapa, and then Rama with many thousand elephants, all with gold, and gave away. And he freed the earth from the robbers, and again gave away all that to Kashyapa in the Ashwamedha sacrifice. So, like that, 21 times he cleared the earth with from Kshatriyas, and then Kashyapa, accepting all that from him, entire earth from him, told Parashurama that this entire earth now belongs to me, so you cannot stay in this. Get out of this earth. That is my command. Kashyapa tells him that you gave away. Again, this is the what it's saying here is not that Kashyapa abused Parashurama. What it's saying is if one gives away something in dana, he cannot continue to enjoy it. Okay, so here Parashurama saying that I give away entire earth to you, Kashyapa, and he gave away that. Once he gives away that, if he still stays on that earth, land, which he has given away, that means he is enjoying that, what he has already given to somebody, right? He is still using it. That is not giving away. Okay, so what it's showing is when Kashyapa, the story says that Kashyapa asked him to leave that earth, which is given away. Okay, but the meaning is, the detail of that is when you give away something, you cannot continue to enjoy it. So here Kashyapa is telling that because you gave away, you cannot enjoy this anymore. And Rama also, knowing that, what he does is he fixes the arrows onto the bow and then aims at the ocean, and ocean gives away the space, and that Mahendra mountain comes, and in that Mahendra mountain Parashurama lives. So even that Parashurama has to die. So he has done so much and controlled entire earth and gave away everything in sacrifice as a present to Kashyapa. He is superior to you and much superior than your son. So why are you crying for a dead son who has not performed any sacrifice or not given away anything? Narada says that why are you crying, saying Shvetya, Shvetya, like that. Why are you crying? So hearing this story of the 16 kings, and obviously one of them is a Brahmana, Parashurama. So here narrating that, Vyasa says that this is capable of enhancing the period of life of those who listen to the 16 kings story. King Sanjaya, after listening to this from Narada, became very silent. And then Narada concludes saying that you have heard all those things, great histories narrated by me. Have you understood the meaning of all these stories? Why I have told you all these kings' stories? All these, if not, it is like Shraddha performed by a person of Brahmana having a Shudra wife. That means that Shraddha is not taken by the Pitrus. So this again, Dharma Shastra says that a Brahmana with Shudra wife, if he offers Tarpana or Pinda or whatever, performs Shraddhas, Pitrus will not accept that. Okay, so that's what is said here. Narada is saying, if you are not, after listening to the stories of these 16 kings, if you have not understood the meaning, what I'm trying to say, then it is like a Brahmana with Shudra wife performing a Shraddha. So all this, so when he says that, Sanjaya says that all these great kings, royal sages you have said, and the gifts and sacrifices they performed and the presents they gave away to Brahmanas, all this, listening to all this, my grief has given away. So I don't have any more grief. The darkness I had is gone. So now I'm cleansed of my sins. I don't feel any pain of loss of my son. So tell me, what should I do now? And when he says that, Narada says that it is good that your grief is dispelled. So ask a boon, tell me what you want. And Sanjaya says that I am very happy that you are with me. That's all I want. Nothing else I want. I don't want, and nothing else I want. And Narada says that I will once more give your son who was killed by the robbers. If you remember, because that son his urine, everything that's is coming out of his body used to turn into gold, right? So Narada, and that's why robbers kidnapped him and killed him. So Narada says that I will give you that son one more time, who was killed, uh, and taking him out of that terrible hell, I will uh, give him one more life. I will bring him back. So then that son was revived, and to Narada's gaze, and King Jaya became very happy, and he performed many sacrifices and things like that. And Narada explains why Sinjaya's son could have been was able to be brought back. So, Vyasa explains why he was able to bring him back to life, because he was rotting in hell. He did not perform any sacrifices. He came and he died a cruel life through the hands of the robbers. That's why he was there, and that's why could have been brought back. But on the other hand, he's telling to Abhimanyu, so he's telling to Yudhishthira that, on the other hand, if you think about Abhimanyu, who was brave, he was heroic, he fulfilled the purpose of his life. Even in the short life he had, young life, he had death he had reached, still he had fulfilled the purpose of his life, having killed thousands of his enemies. He attained that death in the battlefield. And those regions that are attainable only by brahmacharya, with proper atmajnana, and by uh, uh, understanding the shastras and performing the great sacrifices, those regions have been attained by Abhimanyu. So those people of knowledge always desire heaven by performing good actions, karmas, and those living in heaven, they don't want to come back to this earth again. So Vyasa, what he's saying is, if we think about Srinjaya's son was brought to life, why not our son be brought to life? Vyasa is saying that Srinjaya's son did not have such a death. He did not reach Swarga. But on the other hand, Abhimanyu has attained that state, and the people living in heaven, they don't want to come back to this earth. And therefore, it is not easy for any desirable thing that anyone to bring back him, Abhimanyu, bring back to life. So that's why it is not possible. He is residing in the heaven. And Abhimanyu has attained that eternal goal, which is attained by the yogis, who always perform contemplation and performers of great sacrifices, and those people who having the great ascetic merit. Such a state Abhimanyu has attained. After death attaining, he has got a new body, and he is shining in that heaven, Swarga, like Indra himself. And he is there like that. So for him, do not grieve. Again, Vyasa concludes saying that if one grieves for the one who is dead, then his sin increases. Okay, those who grieve, their sin increases. Therefore, it is the one who is wise always abandons griefs and should strive for the benefit of the dead. So the living man always should think about the joy, the glory, the happiness of the dead, and never indulge in grief, because grief is painful. That's why, O Yudhishthira, rise up and do not grieve. You have heard from me the origin of Mrityu and her penances and the impartiality of her behavior towards all the creatures. All those things you have heard. And you have heard also prosperity is unstable, even though all these kings, 16 kings I have narrated, all of them performed great sacrifices, still they had to die, or they will die. So you also heard of how Srinjaya's son was revived because he did not reach heaven. And Abhimanyu, on the other hand, has reached heaven, so he is shining there. So be peaceful, and saying that, Vyasa departs from that place, and Yudhishthira, contemplating on that for a while, he he applauds all those great persons Vyasa has narrated, and then became freed from the grief. So this is the section I said at the beginning itself, where we don't find in the uh, critical edition of Mahabharata. Okay, Vyasa coming, and up to now, where we hear that Yudhishthira became freed of Greece. If you go back previously, Abhimanyu was killed, Yudhishthira was sorrow-stricken, right? He was very much thinking what I'm going to tell Arjuna when he returns, that we could not protect his son in this battle. He was grieving like that, and then the Vyasa comes and narrates all these things. So that's why we conclude here saying that Yudhishthira became grief, but also we hear a line, there is a line saying that, but once again Yudhishthira became melancholy, thinking what I'll tell Arjuna. Okay, he again once more became uh, sorrow-stricken and started grieving for Abhimanyu's death and worried about what he's going to tell Arjuna when he returns. So this is again going back to the state before Vyasa arrives. So the reason again people say this is a later addition to Mahabharata is because of that. Okay, if Yudhishthira, having heard all this, became freed from his grief, right? Then he would not have started lamenting again, saying that what will I tell Arjuna? When Arjuna comes, he would have told that everybody dies. Whatever he heard, he would have consoled. He would convinced and consoled Arjuna in that moment. But we go to next where Arjuna arrives and this grief-stricken, crying, sorrowful Yudhishthira continues. Okay, as we saw before Vyasa's arrival. That's why this Vyasa's episode here, we saw in few chapters here, few adhyayas here, is considered as a later addition. Okay, because you can't say that in one shloka that he became freed from grief, and then next shloka he says that he's again started thinking what he's going to tell Arjuna. So with that, we'll stop there today, and we'll see what happens when Arjuna returns. We'll look at that and the story from here onwards, the 14th day preparation and the battle on 14th day itself is it's one of my favorite in Mahabharata, entire 18 days of battle. Obviously, people say Bhishma Arjuna battle is great. People say Drona, Drishtadyumna was great, or uh, many other battles. Abhimanyu's battle was great. Karna Arjuna's battle great, or Shalya and Yudhishthira, their battle is great. Bhima Duryodhana's battle is great. There are many, many, many battles like this, right? All this we look at it. But still, for me personally, the way Arjuna goes in day 14 and every Pandava warrior goes behind Arjuna, whether it is Satyaki, Bhima, and everybody individually, how they perform on that day is one of the greatest things we see in this 18 day, and that's personally one of my favorite. So we start that 14-day preparation or conclusion of what happens on the 13th day when Arjuna returns from his battlefield with some Shaptakas. After he returns, what he does, knowing that when he realizes Abhimanyu's death, what happens, and then preparation for the 14th day next time when we gather.